This is my husband, Jeff. And he doesn't really have a speaking part. He has a little bit of a cold. But, alrighty. I'm going to need a little bit of help because I want to make sure that everybody's, part of the event here. So I'm going to raise my hand like this at a couple of random times. And if you happen to be a good counter or you happen to pay attention really well, I'd like you to keep track of how many times I do that. You don't have to tell me what it means. You just have to know, okay, yeah. Oh, she did it again. Oh wait, there's another one. Okay, so pay attention to those. Alrighty. I am a cradle Catholic. My parents were both from the north side of Pittsburgh. They raised me and my two young sisters in Erie. My grandmothers were around frequently while I was growing up. I remember not quite fitting in and being a quiet child, but there's a handful of varying opinions still out on that, so we're not really sure whether I was a quiet child or not. I went to a Catholic grade school, parochial school. I think back then it was $54 to send your entire family to Catholic school, so it was a couple of days ago. I have extremely fond memories of the nuns that taught me. I remember Sister Mary Alice, who was the novice, who was assigned to the first grade class, which is funny in itself. Sister John Francis, and that was the hardest term paper of my entire life in the 5th grade. Sister Gertrude, Sister Georgine, Sister Mary Corday, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. I understand now the value of the time that they invested in us, and I am really grateful for that too. Went off to an all-girls school. Sister Mary taught us how to type 45 words on manual typewriters, and I served a Saturday suspension for having a piece of candy in Sister Eileen's religion class. Yeah, neat. You could say you saw it. Perfect trajectory. My parents really worked hard to set me up for that. Except I was smarter than all that. I was smarter than God. I didn't need my parents. I didn't need God. So switched off to public school my senior year. Very cleverly danced in and out of whatever rules I felt like entertaining at the time, and just a general troublemaker. That's what happens. But as a teenager and a young adult, I didn't practice my faith. I don't think that's uncommon. I think a lot of us run into that with our egos. That's just when our egos are developing. I met this really cute guy at work, sort of a love at first sight, and he was absolutely perfect. He was smart and witty and creative and hardworking and a whole bunch of things that would drive my mom nuts. So I married him. We moved to Etna, and on the same street as a beautiful church. My young adult self had great ambitions and expected to be someone very important very soon, of course. About a year of living in Etna, I got up on Palm Sunday and walked to the end of the street to go into to Mass. I was sure that the walls were going to come down. I had let my relationship with God become completely estranged. I didn't even know how to approach God and how to say I was sorry. But fortunately, my perfect spouse started to join me at Mass the next week, and every Sunday we would walk together and go to the end of the street and go to Mass and see our church neighbors and stop for brunch. And it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty darn nice. It was a great start. After a few years of praying, we were finally expecting. Even before the little guy was born, our family was growing. Our church neighbors were so excited for us, and our brunch friends were so excited. It was genuinely one of the happiest times of our lives. It was really important to me all of a sudden, 6 years into this marriage, that our kids be raised Catholic, but my perfect spouse wasn't Catholic. But he fully supported my decision, which was fantastic. I was really fortunate that way, but I can see a lot of young people, and I just wanted you to know that'll come up, even if you don't think it's going to come up. It'll come up later. True to the speed of life, we were instantly granted a surprise blessing, angel number 2. All of that can be a lot of pressure on young adults' work, relationships, bills, babies, and it was not all rainbows and sunshine. There were these 2 beautiful, beautiful bundles though, so they made up for all of it. I went back to work after angel number 2 turned 6 months old. And at that time I worked downtown. In my first week back, I got a floater in my eye, like a little thingy in my eye. And I went to a casual doctor's appointment, and then another, and another, and then less casual, and then they started to get frantic. One day, Perfect Spouse is at work, the babies are in daycare, and I'm with an amazing ophthalmologist that's a doctor, an eye doctor. And he said the unthinkable. He said it to me, which was just mind-blowing. I was only 29 years old. I was a young mom, and I had 2 babies under the age of 2, and this really nice man decided he was going to tell me that I had a very rare cancer called ocular melanoma. And so, all the time when that happens to anybody on any place on the planet, everything just stops right there. You don't know that this is going to rock you physically or emotionally or spiritually or existentially. All of those things happen all at once. The cancer that I had is considered aggressive. It's rare. 2 people in a million are generally diagnosed with it. And the fact that it's aggressive means it can be metastatic. That means it can come back whenever it wants, whenever it wants. And there's no warnings. So totally suck. Say that here? I think that one works. Thank you. Of course, I didn't comprehend any of that at the time, and pretty much any time anybody says that C word, that's just their reaction. We took care of things. We took care of everything that we needed to. We enjoyed these 2 beautiful little bundles, and started, tiptoeing back into life, doing the things that we needed to do to just keep growing as a family. We decided that ultimately we were going to continue on our original trajectory. We took care of that housekeeping thing, and it's all done and taken care of, and now we're going to keep going and have another, keep building our family. Well, that didn't work out really well either. We found out that we were expecting, but that little beautiful bundle was not quite ready for prime time. And I really suffered at that time. That time, I was so separated from God. I was just gone. I was just without anything, without any energy, without any hope. I had never suffered like that before. We had faith and many people around us who loved us very much, and we made it through as a little family, and we were blessed with even one more little angel later on. So the story was a very happy story. It was important to me that the kiddos go to a parochial school. I didn't feel qualified to be their only Catholic influence. So off we went: grade school brownies, Cub Scouts, band, choir, basketball, football, cheerleading, horseback, musicals. There's probably like 10 more things that we should add here, right? All the things that we do when the kids are little. And we allowed the idea to sit way back here, this metastatic possibility. Just put that way in the background and let it sit back there, because we were going to live our lives. But they still had to be independent, because I don't get to know or pick when that happens. So they did learn how to cook and how to clean and how to do their own laundry by 2nd grade, and they didn't consider that a blessing. But I like to tell that story. So our family grew exponentially at the grade school and in the kids' high school. I mean, we were just exposed to so many beautiful people, and God was with us. In May 2013, I had 2 in high school, 1 in grade school, and we had already had about 15 years of just what exactly everybody else has, just general chaos. And then it came back, the big hit. It was only a soft tissue tumor, so it wasn't in an organ, it wasn't life-threatening, but I didn't understand that. I was just, lights out, just emotionally a wreck. Any kind of serious test or diagnosis hits you on those levels, the emotional, spiritual, existential, and physical. Then there's the planning and the doctors and the appointments and the surgeries, and then there's the times when it felt like I was completely floating out all by myself in the deepest part of the ocean, just without hope and without direction. I think that's a lot like the moment where Jesus was praying, before in the garden. I think it was like that moment, and I think that a lot of us have those kind of moments more than we would like to admit. But those are the moments when God's there with us. So again, that whole floating out in the ocean all by myself, but it didn't stay like that. Not at all. Those church people and those school people, those ones back there, they started making lists, and they started taking kids everywhere. Nobody missed a practice, nobody missed a beat. Meals were brought to our house every day for the entire summer. They just decided. I didn't ask, I didn't direct, I didn't delegate, I didn't do anything. I didn't have the capacity to. They just did as a group. And again, God was really with us through all of it. So later in 2013, we had a gamma knife procedure for a couple of tiny spots in my brain, and then in 2015, we had another bogey up in some soft tissue, and then another soft tissue in 2017. Oh wait, there's a couple of these. That was 3. I felt well enough, though, after 2015. 2017. 2017, I had my last soft tissue that we reacted to. So I felt well enough to give back. I really wanted to give back. I thought, God's really been so good to me. I know I'm supposed to be part of this. I know I have some strength. I'm going to give. I'm supposed to be here. So I just started laying it out casually. Hey, I'm available. I can help. Can you help? Well, then somebody else who's here and who shall go unnamed decided that I could help out at a mission trip, and I was healthy enough and that she needed a cook. So I was like, I guess I can cook. I'll do that. It's a little more than I thought, but okay, I'll go away for a week in camp. Let's do it. Well, I felt it was fantastic. I was really, 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 really grateful for the chance to do it. But then I got there. Chaos, nuts. I mean, everything was upside down. It was absolute confusion. And that's just not the way that this brain was organized. This brain is like, no, you need to do it, do, and this way and that way. And I am absolutely sure, because you've met somebody like that, that they can be a giant pain in the kitchen. And I was a giant pain the entire week. And I looked at God and I said, you know what? Is this what you want? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this the message? Because I'm not feeling like I'm giving back. I'm not getting a lot of gratification out of that. That's one of those moments. But the story really continues. And later in October of 2017, the cancer came back. It went into both lungs. There were hundreds of small tumors through both lungs. And do you want to know where those church people were? Where those school people were? They were right next to me. Only my relationship with God had changed significantly, and my relationship with those people had changed significantly. And they started praying over me, and we started praying with each other, and it was really exactly what I needed. So we radiated. We had 7 spots of those hundreds that were through there that were big enough to zap. It's not the way you're supposed to do things, but I like to break the rules. So I broke the rules, and we treated with a way that was completely unconventional, and we had a completely miraculous response. Every single one of those hundreds of tumors disappeared, and it wasn't supposed to. It's okay, it's what God does, right? That's what God does. So, it was just odd to me that I should be so old, that I should be 50 before I start to understand that God's going to do what God's going to do, and He's capable of so much more than I can even imagine. So, I found an article. It's a little switch, a little side switch. I found an article about the kind of cancer that I have. It's rare. And so it's sort of like, I'm not a math guy. So it's the number of years times the number of metastases times this times, the cosine of that and pi and yada yada. And I am not 20% of the population. I am not, because of this cancer, not 10%, I'm not 5%, I'm not 1%. At the time that I did that little Cosmo quiz, I was 0.04% of the population. That's how many people you will find that have lived through this kind of cancer this many times at that stage in the timeline. I was just a homemaker. I was a volunteer, and I was a lunch lady. I was not what my young adult self thought. I don't think my young adult self would be so excited that I was handing out, plastic forks in West Virginia, but I was really happy with that. So, and I really couldn't understand why God wanted to save somebody who was just handing out plastic forks, because there's a lot of people who can hand out plastic forks. But I really loved being with those kids, and I was just going to do whatever God needed me to do because I understood. I'm just going to do it. I still wasn't comfortable with the M word, miracle, but I was absolutely certain that that was what would have happened. And after a handful of good scans, I headed back for my regular checkup in April of 2019, still trying to understand why this miracle thing, and trying to understand what do you want me to do with this, God? What? But the scans really were God. And I said the S word before, but these are even worse than that. We had, in April of this year, both lungs, hundreds through both lungs, a major and a minor in the liver, adrenal, thyroid, soft tissue, multiples through soft tissue, multiples through muscle, which I wasn't ready for because I was ready to go start celebrating my miracle, right? Like, what? What? But we are treating now, and of course in a very unconventional way, because at 0.04%, there's not a lot of trails already blazed, so we've got to blaze our own trail. I got to go on that mission trip a second time, and on that second time, on the third day, I had prayed to God really hard. I really wanted to understand. I knew that this mission trip was on the list. I just needed to understand what I was supposed to do there. So the second year, I said, I am going to go, and I am going to be cheerful and obedient. I'm just going to do what I'm asked, and I'm not going to fix anything. On the third day, it was like a giant light bulb came on over my head, like a commercial on television, and those words were in there, and the words were, you are here to serve, not to solve, which is pretty important to this particular ego. I wasn't there to fix it. I was just there to hand out the plastic forks, and God was telling me that. I was so happy to have heard that from God. I was like a little toddler. When kids walk around and they're going to tell you, hey, A, B, C, D, because they learned their ABCs, I was telling everybody, I'm here to serve. Sure, I was driving them nuts again, but they were tolerant. So I got to go one more time this past year to Appalachia on that mission trip, and I was completely wrapped up in God's love, in all those teenagers that had given up their phones and given up videos and given up games and gave up their whole week to sleep on basement floors. I was wrapped in their love and in your love, and it was a pretty amazing trip. I really loved that trip, and I understood now that I was supposed to be handing out plastic forks, and that was the plan, to just show up and to serve and not to solve. And I was really grateful for that this past summer. Are there any good counters out there? Was anybody able to keep track? Because I can be distracting. About 15? 13? 12? Kevin's doing a no-show. I can't count fingers. 15, Kevin got 15. 14? So, a lot. There's a lot of moments. They weren't all low, and they weren't all high, and they weren't all miracles. There were moments in my life that I knew God was there. And whether I knew it at the moment or I know it now, I think I didn't know it until I was writing this down for you. God is with you in all of those moments, even if you're not having that conversation yet. He's still there. And I wanted to make sure that you knew that. I couldn't do this without God or without my church people or without my school people or without my perfect spouse or without my beautiful angels. And I am just incredibly grateful for all of you in my life and for this opportunity to speak to you. Thank you very much.